Good.
Senator Mills.
Hey. I just zoomed in. I was going 90 to get here. So. Okay, well, I really appreciate everyone getting up early this morning and making their way to Frankfort. We've got a lot of decorated visitors and special guests today, and we're excited to hear what they have to say. Well, welcome to our first meeting of the Interim Joint Committee on Local Government. And Madam Clerk, if you will call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Here. Senator Elkins. Present. Senator Harper Angel. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Here. Senator McDaniel. Senator Nemus.
Present.
Senator Storm. Senator Thayer. Senator Wheeler. Senator Williams. Here. Representative Bentley. Representative Bowling. Representative Bray.
Present.
Representative Brown. Representative Chester Burton. Yes. Representative Dixon. Representative Doan.
Present.
Representative Fleming. Present. Representative Frazier Gordon. Here. Representative Freeland.
Here.
Representative Hart.
Here.
Representative Imes.
Here.
Representative Justice. Representative Lockett.
Present.
Representative Meredith.
Yes.
Representative Proctor. Representative Raymer. Here. Representative Stalker.
Present.
Representative Stevenson. Representative Thomas.
Present.
Representative Bridges.
Here.
Chairman Mills.
I'm here. Well, very good. As you can see, this is from our roll call. This is a large interim joint committee. And today we are going to hear from our two largest cities. And, they are economic engines in the Commonwealth. And we want to hear what's going on in their areas. Many of us are not from Louisville or Lexington, so it's a good opportunity for us to just hear about your successes, your challenges, and anything else you want to add to give us some background information as we prepare for the next legislative session. We're really not looking for anything in general, but we would like to have the opportunity to listen to what you have to say today and maybe ask a few questions and kind of open up the lines of communication between both of these large cities. So if you look at your agenda, we are going to start with Lexington-Fayette, and if the representatives would like to come, Mayor Gordon, and also if Mayor Gordon, if you want to come up, and anybody else you want to bring at that time, if you want to bring your whole team around you. We know y'all are in budgets and budget talks right now, and you've requested to go first, so we'll honor that. And if you could introduce yourselves for the record, and then the floor is yours.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Linda Gorton, Mayor of Lexington. And Senator Mills, I want to thank you very much. And also thank Representative Bridges and the members of the Interim Joint Committee on Local Government. You are very important to us. And I'd like to start first by thanking you for your support of our community. We know that your commitment to public safety and public service here in the legislature involves countless hours, and you are dedicated to service. So we are thankful that you're here for local governments. We especially appreciate that you helped provide last session us with affordable housing and road projects. Thank you very much. And these things we can never do on our own. These are huge projects. And today you've asked for a presentation from us on the challenges we've faced in recent years in public safety hiring and retention. And so Lexington, like many cities across the country, has experienced a double whammy in 2020. The global pandemic and the protests of racial injustice. And in some ways, the fallout was predictable. we knew the economy would be affected by COVID-19. And so we worked through those. We didn't see all the fallout that was coming, but it did have a huge impact on public safety hiring. So public safety is very important to our community. It is my number one priority. I know that if a community isn't safe, nothing else works well. And every resident in Lexington expects high and good public safety. So for many years, we've committed more than half of our budget to public safety. And this year is no different. 56% of our budget is dedicated to the various areas of public safety. And that's a commitment that we all understand, and we do this every year. So Lexington has excellent public safety services, and they are widely respected by our residents. And our training, I wanted to talk about just a minute. Our training for police and fire is some of the most intense and best in the whole United States. Lexington's public safety expertise is important to our residents, of course, but it's also important to many of our fellow Kentuckians. Our police officers and our firefighters receive specialized training in areas many fire departments and police in Kentucky do not have. So as a result, our public safety crews are often asked for assistance by our neighboring counties, and whenever possible, we are happy to help. Staffing shortages can make it a little difficult sometimes to offer assistance, but since our first responsibility is to the citizens of Fayette County, we also take seriously serving Kentucky when we're asked. So to address the staffing shortages, we have taken many steps to make our public safety jobs more attractive. Higher pay, improved benefits, sign-on bonuses, improved equipment, including new time-saving technologies. So results vary from division to division. And while our staffing is still far from perfect, we are making progress and it is getting better. Today, I've brought 3 important members of our public safety team, as well as lots of backup, to talk about specifics on these initiatives. Police Chief Lawrence Weathers, our Assistant Fire Chief Joey Harris is with us, and our Chief of Community Corrections Scott Colvin, who will rotate in at the proper time, to talk with you about our ongoing efforts to improve recruitment and retention. These divisions are led by Public Safety Commissioner Ken Armstrong, who's with us today, and he is a former Lexington police officer who manages all of the public safety area for Lexington. So these officers and the people in their divisions work together like the members of a family. We have a great deal of cohesion. And everyone has one goal in mind, a safer community. So we're going to start with Chief Lawrence Weathers, who has been our chief since 2018. He served 27 years with our police department before becoming our chief. And I'll tell you that violent crime and homicides are down in Lexington, thanks in part to his work and the work of his officers. After Chief Weathers, we'll move to Assistant Fire Chief Joey Harris, and I want to talk just a second about our fire department because it ranks among the highest in the United States. They hold ratings from international accrediting agencies that only a handful of fire departments in the United States have. And finally, Chief Scott Colvin, who leads our community corrections, will tell you a little bit about what he's doing. He has totally turned around our retention and recruitment at our corrections facility. And I want to thank you very much for this, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to Chief Weathers.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, everybody, and good morning. Thank you all for the opportunity to be here and to allow me to speak to all of you. One of the biggest challenges Lexington Police Department has encountered is staffing. This challenge includes recruiting new officers as well as retention of our current officers. Until recently, the number of applicants applying to become police officers was declining significantly. The Lexington Police Department is not only competing with other public safety agencies, but we're also competing with private entities that offer competitive salaries and less public scrutiny and safer working conditions. Over the past several years, we have experienced other public safety agencies recruiting our officers with 20-plus years of experience, taking away personnel with vast amounts of knowledge and experience. Officers are able to work at another agency and draw their pension from the LFUCG along with an additional salary. However, staffing issues are not just about salaries. The workforce now places a high value on benefits like mental health resources, personal time off, and other non-financial incentives. Offering competitive benefits remains crucial for new hires and retention of our existing personnel. Despite the challenges our department has faced, we have adapted and found new ways to continue serving our community effectively and efficiently with assistance from legislation passed by Frankfurt. With the passage of Senate Bill 89, we were able to rehire retired officers, and so far we have been able to bring back 11 former officers. Bringing back personnel with their years of experience and knowledge has been very beneficial to our department. Additionally, House Bill 380 allowed us to expand our pool of applicants to hire candidates at the age of 20, as long as they were 21 years old by the time they received their certification. This has allowed us to put more applicants into the academy and expand our recruiting efforts. House Bill 248 removed the restrictions that an officer would have to wait a year if they resigned before being allowed back to rejoin the department. We've also created a clerk program to help in the Bureau Patrol with our teleserve program, allowing people to file reports over the phone. Clerks with the teleserve program answer close to 1,000 calls a month, which frees up patrol officers to respond to calls for service. The clerk program has been so successful in assisting with our personnel that it has expanded the clerk's work within the bureaus throughout the departments. In the clerk's program, we've been able to hire retired officers who wanted to be involved with policing but did not want to or cannot, due to injuries, be sworn officers. This also brought back a knowledge and experience that we lost. Technology has been crucial in helping our officers and investigators solve crime. We've established a real-time crime center to integrate our use of the FUSIS platform, traffic cameras, and flock license plate readers. I would like to say that the 60-day retention schedule versus a 30-day schedule allows investigators more time to follow up and access resources longer when they need them. So far, the use of technology assets has assisted us in arresting homicide suspects, finding missing persons, and furthering investigations, and more. The technology implemented by the Lexington Police Department has provided crime victims with new hope that their case will be solved and those responsible will be held accountable. Our investments in technology has helped with officers' morale and provided new tools for officers to expand their investigative skills. And what we refer to as precision policing, and it's working. We continue to expand and utilize new technologies to serve our community and to help our officers, while navigating the limited financial resources available, but we are grateful for the support received both locally and at the state level. To help recruit and retention, we have sought out ways to improve our hiring process and increase retention. We have made investments to work with a marketing consultant to create more modern advertising, intentionally designed to attract and increase today's applicants. Additionally, we created a wellness unit to help all of our employees. When we look at wellness for us, it is not about just looking at physical health, but offering programs for mental health, personal relationships, and financial wellness. Our department's commitment to employee wellness led to hiring a full-time mental health professional to offer assistance to officers and civilians employees. We continue to pursue ways to expand the program as we realize the benefits the program provides our employees. We've also grown and enhanced our community strategy to better connect with the community and our media partners. This includes utilizing social media more to inform and engage with the community. We started a series called Your Lex PD to give our community more insight and information about the different units within the department and how they have helped serve the Lexington community. We are creating public service announcements to spread awareness about issues impacting Lexington and how people can safeguard themselves from crime. Our response and your support with these issues has made an impact. In 2023, we saw the first increase in personnel since 2017, and the number of applicants applying for the Lexington Police Department is increasing too. But we still have a ways to go. Recently, Lexington has also seen a decrease in violent crime. To make an impact on violent crime, it has taken the entire community. We have worked very closely with community partners like One Lexington, who have been instrumental in providing resources and support. We've also seen an impact through our use of technology to help with precision policing. Now we have tools that allow us to use evidence-based techniques to solve crimes and hopefully prevent some from even happening. In closing, none of our success would be possible without the support of Lexington Mayor Linda Gorton and the members of the Lexington-Fayette Urban County Council and members of the state legislature. Thank you, and again, for your dedication and continued support.
Very good. Chief, before we move on to the fire department, Representative Lockett has a question. We're going to take one question, and then we'll move on to the fire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I just wanted to say thank you, Mayor and Chief. It's really good to be able to work in partnership with you, not just in the legislature, but also as someone that represents part of Fayette County. I'm very thankful for the leadership that both of you have and do provide. My question is, in terms of new recruits coming into the system, what do you see that are barriers in recruiting brand new? So I guess younger folks, brand new recruits outside of the pay structure. Is there anything there that you would say, this is something that we need to work on, this is something that we need help with?
First of all, I have to point out that the people that we recruit, and I guess I've been here long enough to say this generationally, are different. Their needs, wants, and desires are different. I think in the past couple of years, policing has kind of been pigeonholed as kind of this is what past policing is. And that's our fault because we didn't get out there and tell them what policing is now. And I think we're doing that now. And I think we're seeing some of the things that that don't exactly match up to what our younger applicants are looking for today. So we've changed some of that. And I think getting the message out there that this is what our police department today, this is what policing is about today, is kind of lifting some of that stigma that is associated with us that, we kind of picked up during those last few years. This is not the police department of yesteryear.
Do you see that making any type of impact in terms of higher recruitment numbers?
Oh, yeah, it does.
Good.
Our best recruiters are our officers, and opening up and going out and reaching out to people, getting our officers out there to tell our story about what we are and why they joined and how we're making a difference and how we're not the police departments of the past. And I don't think anybody is. And I hope I'm not speaking out of turn for my colleagues at Louisville, but we don't police like that anymore. We realize that our position as guardians and protectors, and we have to take that seriously, and we have to get that message out there. And by interacting with the public and interacting with younger people, that's why we ask for the lower age, because we realize I got people in 18 years old that want to be police. I haven't seen that before. That's because of the people that are working for us are interacting and getting that message out there.
That's good. Thank you.
One more short question, Representative Stock.
I don't know if I have a short answer.
Thank you so much, Chair. I appreciate it. The question is, you said that there was an increase by lowering the age. You referenced the legislation about lowering the age to 20 for applicants. And I was just wondering, do you have any numbers that you can provide? You said there was an increase, but what does that look like if you have those numbers?
I do. Now I have to be able to see them. Hold on. Okay. Just to give you an example, we used to just have one class a year. Okay. And then with one class a year, we had, in 2019, we had 472 applicants. And I jumped forward, I guess, to 2023, where we did 3 classes during the year. We ended up with 875 applicants. Right now, we've only had 1 class, and we're probably going to have three classes this year. Right now, we're at 343, and if I extrapolate that out and we continue even with that number, we're going to be at 1,029. So we're seeing an increase.
So are those, just a clarifying question, are those numbers all, they're not all individuals that are 20 years old though?
Oh, no,
so
no.
out of those numbers, I want to know what the increase is of individuals who are applicants who meet the qualifications of being 20 in order to apply.
Yeah, I don't know about that. The only
Okay.
thing I can say is till we change that, we didn't see those numbers.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, let's move on to Louisville, Lexington-Fayette Fire.
Good morning. I'm Assistant Chief Joey Harris. I'm here in behalf of Fire Chief Jason Wells, who unfortunately couldn't be here this morning. I'd like to thank you for allowing me time today to have the opportunity to present a status summary of our recruiting and retention areas, as well as some of the efforts we've put in place to enhance those programs. So I'll begin with an overview of our recruiting. We have experienced a decline of applicant levels from 2019 to 2023, and that resulted in a 27% decrease in our applicants. We identified this as a deteriorating trend and are actively pursuing solutions to reverse these results. We've increased our social media presence and also improved communication with our applicants. We've implemented 2 new software programs that allows us to actively manage the application process, provide updated information, and promote engagement with our applicants. Through these efforts, we have yielded a 25% applicant increase in the 2024 hiring process. We have not experienced a challenge in our ability to retain personnel. However, we have identified areas common to deficiencies and attrition in our organization. Retention challenges in the fire service are commonly associated with low levels in staffing and consistent increases in call volume. It is common for both of these to attribute to workplace burnout and consideration for an alternative career path. We are implementing proactive steps to prevent a decline in retention. Our staffing challenges were recently improved through a federal Staffing for a Safer Emergency Response, or SAFER grant, through the acceptance and commitment from Mayor Gordon and Lexington-Fayette Urban County Government Council members. We were able to increase our authorized strength by 21 personnel. And that resulted in a 4% increase in our overall staffing. This is just one step that we're taking to address our staffing levels. Over the last 4 years, we have experienced a 19% increase in our call volume, averaging an annual 4% increase and resulting in approximately 69,000 calls a year. Based on our year-to-date call volume, we will likely see this number again in 2024 with the possibility of exceeding that. Through partnerships at the federal, state, and local levels, including our local hospitals, the establishment of a paramedicine program was made possible. This team provides the necessary resources and support for individuals who have experienced a non-fatal overdose, individuals who frequently require 911 services, and those who have been referred to the team based on a comprehensive online assessment of their needs and environment. This initiative is a response to address the call volume challenge that we're facing and to increase a focused effort with the appropriate training and resource necessary for behavioral health responses. Just this January, the Kentucky Community Crisis Co-Response Grant was awarded. This initiative has been made available through a federal grant and then prioritized by the Kentucky Department for Medicaid Services. Currently in the planning phase, the intent with this grant is to add a civilian behavioral health resource with an officer from the Lexington Police Department, add this team to the paramedicine team to enhance our focused effort to behavioral health calls in our community. The overarching goal of the team, the paramedicine team as a whole, is to get the right person, the right help at the right time. And we believe through this grant that will help utilize the team more effectively. We've also taken a holistic approach to our membership's well-being, and addressing both our behavioral and physical health. This is an effort to promote longevity within the organization. Our behavioral health initiatives include creating a peer support coordinator and a peer support team in January of 21. The peer support team has continued to expand, and the investment in this program from our membership has been overwhelming. The team is activated regularly to provide appropriate behavioral pathways for our membership and for other public safety divisions after a critical incident. Team members have also been requested and employed outside of Fayette County. You heard Mayor Gordon talk about our resources being expanded outside the boundaries of Fayette County. We're able to do that with training and operators on the operation level, but then also with the peer support team. And actually, during the Western Kentucky tornadoes, December 21, our peer support team was activated and assisted in that area as well. The physical health of our membership is always a priority, and one that is shared by Mayor Gordon and the LFUCG council members. And this is evident through the approval of a wellness coordinator position in the 2025 budget. This coordinator position will maintain a continuity of care initially created through a partnership we have with the University of Kentucky, and will assist in reducing injuries in our organization through a preemptive injury program. In closing, we will continue to explore options that positively impact our organization, specifically in the areas of recruiting and retention, and are committed to creating best practice procedures within our organization. As we face these challenges and others in the future, we realize that our success is dependent on the continued partnerships and support from Mayor Linda Gordon, LFUCG council members, and the members of the state legislature. So thank you for your investment in the Lexington Fire Department.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Just could you clarify your target numbers and where you're at now as far as firefighters? Do you know that number off the top of your head? Or
our authorized strength with the SAFER grant increased us to 622 firefighters for authorized strength.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, let's move on to county detention. And we have Scott Colvin. And we have about 10 minutes, and we'll have some time for questions. So.
Good morning, Senators. My name is Scott Colvin. I am a 35-year veteran of county jail operations. I currently serve the people of Lexington as their chief of community correction. It is an honor to appear before you this morning to offer my perspective on the challenges and opportunities related to the recruitment and retention of community corrections officers. Corrections is a curious field, often shrouded by the reality that our important work must take place behind thick walls and still doors. It is against this backdrop where those of us entrusted with the leadership of a corrections agency frequently find ourselves strategizing on what can be done to effectively address this barrier, how to elevate our professional image, and to clear message to our community what value our profession has to the public safety. During 2022, corrections recruiting nationwide had devolved beyond critical to a level never seen before in my 35 years. Corrections systems had actually failed. Multiple states deployed their National Guards to prevent the operational collapse of corrections facilities. This was historical in scale. Lexington, Louisville, and Kentucky Department of Corrections fared a little better. At the end of 2022, the division had 127 vacancies. That's 46% of the officer positions were vacant. Through the efforts and support of all stakeholders, both officer and elected official, I can report to you this morning that Community Corrections has just 30 officer vacancies to fill in order to achieve full division staffing for this position. We are 89% staffed, and this is an encouraging number. However, do I believe our staffing challenges in corrections to be solved? Unfortunately, I do not. Not until a bellwether change is effected and the merits and significance of the work can be clearly portrayed by those of us in leadership roles to the citizens we serve. Let us remove the ambiguity sometimes seen in our recruiting. It's a great job, great benefits. And highlight the new generation officer, one deeply involved in social work, up-trained in mental health interventions, and motivated to put someone on a path to reentry, because this is who we are today. When I took over the jail, officers were required to work 2, sometimes 3 16-hour shifts a week. Fatigue and burnout was high and morale low. As for the detainees, lockdowns became longer and tempers became shorter. These hours were grueling and had to be addressed in an urgent way. In January of 2023, with the resources and support provided by Mayor Gorton and the City Council, we went on the offensive to recruit officers. These efforts included advertisement on city buses, local television commercials, increased presence at job fairs. We doubled down for the job fairs. We communicated with Fort Campbell, Fort Knox, told them that we're interested in their veterans that are separating. The division co-sponsors the Lexington Veterans 5K Run. It's a well-attended, high-profile event in the city. We established relationships with the faith-based community to ask for their assistance in attracting candidates. Increased community involvement in all ways. We'd lend our color guard, Special Olympics charity events, city-sponsored community events. We wanted to bring the officers out from behind the walls where the citizens of the community could see them. And even with these efforts, recruiting numbers remain challenging. However, in February of 2023, the City of Lexington signed an agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police that increased the starting salary for corrections recruits to $50,000 and a $3,000 sign-on bonus. The salary increase had a positive and immediate impact on both recruiting and retention. Interest increased and morale began to rise. Linked to the positive culture change that we were attempting, things were improving. We released this news through our social media platforms. Analyzing our recruiting data told us that our applicants came to us primarily through 2 ways, social media and employee referrals. This is where we placed our focus to be innovative and attract candidates from across the multi-generational workforce. In 1 year, we have increased our staffing numbers by 90 officers. In the first 6 months of 2024, of the 66 new recruits this year, we have retained 81% of these officers. Retention is recruiting to me. In tough situations, be where your people are. Less office, more housing units. When staffing was critical, we spent as much time as our duties would allow in the jail, in the units, with the officers. This approach had a favorable impact. Officers had access to the executive commanders of the division to voice their concerns, offer feedback, and ask questions of us. We had the opportunity to get to know the staff on a personal level and talk one-on-one about issues they were interested in. Reward officers in big and small ways, formally or in person. No one ever gets tired of being appreciated. And transparency is of utmost importance. We attend roll call daily, brief officers on what the administration is working on to gain their support for initiatives, to accurately describe the state of operations, good or bad, and to remind the men and women of the division often of the higher purpose of our profession, that what we do here matters everywhere. Connecting people to services and programs that place them on a path for reentry through our new Second Chance Academy, to the Hope Center, or other available programs to them. We are connecting people back to their families with options they maybe never had before. This is something that we take pride in. Sorry. We strongly believe that an agency is only as good as its training. It's where our traditions live. In Lexington, we have established programs for sworn staff that they can utilize to achieve a national certification from the American Jail Association. Our division is currently third in the United States in the number of certified jail officers. Additionally, 4 commanders of the division attend the AJA National Command Jail Leadership Academy each year. We have just completed a corrections operations certificate program with Kentucky State University developed for division officers. This 15-hour certificate will be offered in the fall semester. For an officer to value their role, to truly embrace this career, they must be formally trained and professionally developed. This applies to all corrections officers throughout Kentucky. Our academy is challenging. We provide the recruits opportunities to test themselves constantly, acquire skills, gain confidence, and find a second family in their academy mates. As a community, we have envisioned, designed, and developed these programs on our own. They are not mandated. We receive no assistance from the state. I wonder what could be possible for all jails if state lawmakers took an interest in the development of a KLEC type model for Kentucky County jails. I'd like to express my gratitude to all the lawmakers and leaders of the General Assembly for your support of public safety and the precious resources this body provides to local government, and to thank Mayor Gorton and the City Council for providing me this opportunity to lead one of their divisions. Thank you.
Mary, do you have any closing remarks?
I want to first thank you, Senator Mills and Representative Bridges, and the committee members. We are really happy to be here, and I have a lot of faith and trust in my public safety leaders. They are top of the line, the best there can be, and so I think this is what leads us to be a very safe community. Thank you for having us.
Very good. We have a couple questions. Representative Hart has a question for fire.
It's really nice to look out there and see some of my colleagues that I used to work with out in the crowd and testifying. But Chief Harris, if you could maybe expand a little bit. I know since I've left or retired from the department, you all went to great strides to enhance your accreditation programs and stuff you offer through your training academy. Could you touch on that a little bit? Because some of that it kind of goes in. A couple of years ago when we had the EMS task force and we were talking about EMS shortages, I think some of the things you've done with your paramedic program it will help. And I'd like to get that out there so other people could hear to where we might be able to implement that around the state somewhere.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you for that question. So we've done a couple of things. One, we've expanded our paramedic class, the number of students in that, to create more paramedics on the street and for service to the residents of Fayette County. We continue to partner with University of Kentucky, who oversees the paramedic program as well, and working through state requirements, the accreditation process there, and meeting all those requirements.
Very good. Representative Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to ask, Mayor, you and your team have mentioned about mental health, and part of retention is to provide as much support to those individuals that go through a traumatic situation, either run into a building for a fire or exchanging fire. What particular programs do y'all have in place to help support those individuals that go through a traumatic situation, particularly, or even overall mental health policies?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. I spent a full career as a registered nurse, so I'm highly alert to health issues. And, our city's kind of like one big patient, right? we have signs of wellness, and then we have other signs where things aren't as well. And so we have actually done quite a bit on the mental health part of it. The chief can tell you we have added some mental health folks who coordinate with police when there's an event or an issue that our officers need help with. And we talked about the wellness coordinators that we have throughout public safety. These are folks who, as you pointed out, can be in terrible situations, and they can experience PTSD afterward. And we are all focused on helping those folks after an event, whether it's through our wellness program, through our connections with New Vista and the like with police, so that they can get the help they need to recover. It's no different than a military person who's been in combat, who has an extremely difficult situation and needs help to work through the PTSD. So we're putting a lot of resources there, and if the chief can tell you a little bit about what we do with police and our connections with the nonprofits and such, if you want.
And I'm just going to speak briefly on it. Yeah, we offer this not just for the people that we employ, civilian and sworn, but for their families as well. And we work closely with the fire department. They have their fire chaplain. We have our chaplaincy program that actually responds out to scenes when officers are having traumatic events or involved in traumatic events, or firefighters, and even people at the corrections. So we see this as a total public safety concept, even wrapping around services to bring in E911 personnel, because some of the things that happen are traumatic to them. We also offer physical fitness wellness that's available to employees and families and retirees, and our own wellness coordinator, mental health wellness coordinator that we've hired, so officers can have a safe space to come and talk, and it's reoccurring. It's not just one visit, and there's no unlimited visits. And on top of that, we have our employee assistance program that's there to help. And what we find is after these traumatic events, people in public safety don't talk about feelings, but that's what we have to do. And we find that there's a more relaxed atmosphere, a more open atmosphere, and people actually enjoy the work that they're doing in spite of some of the terrible things we might see.
Well, very good, Mayor and team. Senator Mays Bledsoe has our final question.
Thank you, Chairman. I can't let them get off without saying at least something. Having served with every member of this team for a number of years, I think one of the things that Lexington does really well is, one, a lot of transparency. And sometimes we go overboard, if you will, on data and transparency, but it matters because we're really authentic in the community. And two, the culture of excellence in our fire and police departments is legacy. You have a number of people who have served well plus 20 years, who've brought in their kids who have also then served. It's a legacy culture of education and dependency, and it's an excellent community to be a part of. And they do that really well in both of those. I mean, the Lexington Fire Department is the largest in the state. The A rating is nothing short of hard work to get that. What you've done, Director, at the Corrections Department is nothing short of a miracle. Having watched that for over years, the number of people who we had a hard time keeping in the department, the turnover was intense, and you've done a phenomenal job modeling the culture that's been exemplified really in fire and police over there. And so as a whole, I mean, what you've seen largely is people matter. The people who work in the community, people who work for the community, the people in the community, they matter. And that we put a high excellence on that bar, and I think that shows up in leadership and the culture. And I'm real proud of, I know Senator Armstrong Chambers is biased too, but I'm pretty biased for Lexington. And real proud to have you all. Thanks.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And I know that if you need to sneak out, I think if we have any other questions for you, we'll direct them through our staff and send them to you. You can respond back that way. So
Thank you so much.
thank you so much for being here today. All right. So we have another 45 minutes or so that we can talk with the Louisville team. And the Louisville team is here with Mayor Craig Greenberg, Brian O'Neill, the Fire Chief, Paul Humphreys, who's the Deputy Chief of Police. And if you'll make your way up to the dais, welcome, folks. Thank you for your patience. And it's not always easy to go second and things like this, but we're glad you're here today. And we'd love to hear about successes and challenges in Louisville and public safety.
Good morning, and thank you all so much for having us here this morning.
If you want to pull your mic up, make sure it's real close there and green dots on. Green.
There we go.
There you go. Now you're on.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you all so much for having us here this morning. I'm Mayor Craig Greenberg, and I'm joined by two dedicated and strong public servants who have given their life to public service and to the city of Louisville. Acting Chief of Louisville Metro Police Department, Paul Humphrey, and the Chief of Louisville Fire Department, Brian O'Neill. I want to start by thanking you, thanking everyone on this committee, thanking all of your colleagues in both the Senate and the House for your historic investment in the city of Louisville during our last session. You all truly made historic, transformative investments that are going to power our city and our Commonwealth forward over the coming decades. Thank you all so much for that. Thank you for your investment in downtown revitalization, in our parks, in support for community and social services, cultural organizations, education, and more. Every area of our community will benefit. And I believe that means every corner of the Commonwealth will benefit as well. And I believe this is just the beginning. We are just getting started with a new dynamic partnership between the city of Louisville and between the General Assembly and the rest of the state. One that benefits, as I mentioned, every part of the state. A relationship that bridges any perceived urban-rural divide that might still exist. A relationship that overcomes partisanship and creates a strong partnership. And that's why I'm proud that hopefully later this week, on Thursday of this week, our Metro Council will approve a budget that continues to add to this partnership, that continues to invest in the priorities that the General Assembly noted are priorities of theirs for the city and the state. And this budget includes significant investments in projects that the General Assembly has already supported. It invests strongly in public safety, in quality pre-K education, and working to making universal pre-K a reality. Investing in affordable housing, which is a big needed thing in Louisville. Invest more in parks, social service organizations, and more. We share similar priorities, we share similar goals, and we are so excited to continue the partnership. So thanks for having us here today as well. One of the things that we're also excited in Louisville is a new economic development strategy, a new economic development plan, our city's first in over a decade. And we know that's important for our city to help us create new good-paying career path jobs, to drive the development of our economy as we move forward in the years and decades ahead. And that's also important for the entire state of Kentucky, because we know that our city's future is tied inextricably with our Commonwealth's future. And I know you all know this, but approximately 36% of Kentucky's population lives within a 1-hour drive of Louisville. More than a third of the state's gross domestic product is generated within the Louisville region, including 1/3 of the statewide tourism dollars. And one thing that I'm really proud and excited about and hoping to grow over the coming years is over 16,000 people, students, graduate from Louisville areas of higher education every year. That's a number we need to continue to invest in, to continue to grow. So given that the region's overall economic health affects not just Louisville residents, but everyone in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And that's why we're so excited about this economic development plan and why it is so important for our city's success and our state's success. It capitalizes on the great momentum that we're seeing in our city right now. Just this year alone, we had wonderful events in the Kentucky Derby Festival, welcoming hundreds of thousands of people for exciting events. We then had the 150th Kentucky Derby that had record-breaking revenue, followed just 2 weeks later by the PGA Championship, where we again welcomed the world and had over 200,000 people, a record attendance, record revenue, and record ratings for the entire city, for the entire country to see our city. We started a new festival down on the waterfront with Jack Harlow called the Gazebo Festival. We shattered records at the Yum Center, UFC Fight Night just 2 weeks ago. Record handle for that entire organization right here in Louisville, Kentucky. Last weekend, we had over 25,000 people at a concert on the waterfront. People are active, excited, getting out and about in Louisville from all over the state, from around the region and country, and our economic development plan capitalizes on this momentum. It has four pillars of success, areas that the General Assembly has acknowledged are important, that you all have invested in, and that we will continue to invest in and move forward. First, we're going to continue to invest in the quality of places. That means investing in organizations and projects like the Community Care Campus, which is dedicating to providing more services and shelter for individuals who are experiencing homelessness, a critically important investment that we need to make in Louisville and around the state. We're going to continue to invest in office conversions to revitalize downtown vacant buildings and turn them into exciting new places for residential, hospitality, entertainment, or other uses. We're going to transform the Belvedere, right in the heart of our city, into a world-class destination that welcomes anyone who wants to join at the center of our city, to gather, to connect, to get to know one another, to celebrate. We continue to invest in more parks like Jefferson Memorial Forest and more. And in the future, we're going to continue to need the General Assembly's help to continue to help us invest in public safety, in affordable housing, in public transportation, and more. I'll talk more about our affordable housing initiatives and how we can partner together when I testify before the Housing Task Force later this summer. But the bottom line is that no one in Louisville, no one around the state should have to pay more than 30% of their income to have a safe, secure, and quality place to call home. That is the foundation for everything else that all of us do in life. And so we are working hard in Louisville with bold, ambitious plans that have never been done before to make sure that everyone in Louisville has a safe, quality, and affordable place to call home. It's important for everyone in Louisville, and it's certainly important for the future of our city. Our second pillar is to continue to invest in people, invest in education, to invest in retaining and recruiting individuals who want to live in Louisville, who want to work in Louisville, who want to make it their home, make it where they raise their family, because it is a great city, a great state. And that's why our city will continue to invest in a new initiative that we've just recently launched called Thrive by 5, which is working to make universal pre-K a reality for all 3 and 4-year-olds. We'll continue to invest in investments like the state has supported, like the LUMED development, which is our downtown health sciences, educational and research and teaching center. We need that to be a world-class campus where people want to work, where people feel comfortable getting care, and where people want to be. And I also want to thank the General Assembly for your huge investment, in the University of Louisville. I'm going to borrow that, thanks. The university is such an important part of our city, of our state, and that historic investment that you all made in their new building in downtown and the other projects that they have going on is truly transformative for the university, for their students today, and their students tomorrow. The third pillar is improving entrepreneurial development and access to capital. We want to continue to collaborate with the state so that there is no better place in the country to start businesses, to grow businesses, to create good paying career path jobs than in Louisville, than in Kentucky. And so we need to continue to work together on the incentives that exist in the state so that we can partner and make all communities across the state places where people want to create jobs, create businesses in their hometowns. And finally, we're focused on telling Louisville's story, telling our stories to ourselves where we can celebrate it internally about our city, but also telling our story to the world. Our tourism industry is strong and growing. You just heard about some of the great events that we've already had this year. The Kentucky State Fair each year is another one of those great events that welcomes people to the world. We are a city that knows how to host the world in our city, in our state, and we want to keep growing all of this, to keep welcoming the world to our city. And I want to welcome each of you to our city as well. A couple of weeks ago, several of us from Louisville had the opportunity to travel to Manchester. We visited with President Stivers, met many local folks in Manchester and in Clay County, and talked about how our two hometowns could collaborate together. How could we use some of the experiences that people have in Louisville, in areas of tourism, in Bourbon, economic development, water infrastructure, public safety? How can we leverage some of those experiences and skills to help folks in Manchester and Clay County? And likewise, what can we learn from them where we can bring home to Louisville? It was a powerful and important day. I'd love to do more of that. My colleagues and friends and partners in Louisville would love to visit you all across the state. Please reach out and invite us. We'd love to join you in your community as well. And likewise, we'd love to have you spend more time in Louisville. We'd love for you all to come experience any one of the events that we've just mentioned. We'd love for you to come back and visit us for Bourbon and Beyond in September when we welcome 200,000 people for a wonderful music festival. The next weekend, we'll welcome a similar number of people back for Louder Than Light. We've got the St. James Art Fair coming up. We have the Jack-O-Lantern Spectacular at Iroquois Park, where over 100,000 people view just about the same number of pumpkins in a really unique experience you can only see there. So whether you want to come to Louisville for one of those great events, or whether you just want to come and enjoy our parks, enjoy our libraries, enjoy our food, or certainly enjoy our bourbon, I would love to welcome you to Louisville, Kentucky, to continue to build on this partnership that we've created with the General Assembly and the rest of the state. Now, finally, none of this is possible without improving public safety, without ensuring that everyone in Louisville is safe and everyone in Louisville feels safe. And so without a doubt, while everything else that we've talked about is so critically important to the future of our city and state, improving public safety is my number one priority as mayor. It has been, and it will continue to be for as long as I am mayor, because again, everyone in Louisville should be safe and should feel safe. And we're dealing with some unique challenges, some of which you heard my friends from Lexington just talk about. But we have a unique gun violence epidemic in our city, and we have some unique challenges that we are working to overcome, and we are making positive progress in that area. And that's why I'm honored today to be joined by two other dedicated and strong public servants who have given their career to our city and making the lives of people in Louisville and our state better. First, I want to introduce Acting Chief of Police Paul Humphrey. Paul has been with LMPD for over 18 years. Right now, he is leading our reform and improvement efforts, working with the United States Department of Justice on a consent decree that we will be entering into in the near future. He is working on those efforts. He has been working with all parts of our department, and he is a great public servant. Following Acting Chief Humphrey, you will hear from Chief of our Louisville Fire Department, Brian O'Neill. The whole world in March of this year saw the heroism, the bravery, the dedication, the skills of the Louisville Fire Department as they rescued a woman who had nearly lost her life going over our 2nd Street Bridge. Brian will talk a little bit about those skills and talents that his colleagues bring to our city every day. Brian has been with the department for over 20 years. He's a former president of the Firefighters Union. I'm honored to have him on the team. Thank you all so much for inviting us. And with that, I will turn it over to Acting Chief Humphrey.
I'd also like to say thank you for having us here in front of you today. Your public service and your service to the community is not lost on us. While it may look a little bit different in how we do it, public service and taking care of others is a fundamental pillar that we have to fulfill. So I'd like to say thank you for having us. Thank you to the folks from Lexington and to Mayor Gordon. And I appreciate her comments that she has the best public safety leaders in the state. But I think me and Chief O'Neill will do our best to try to take that title away from them. If we haven't achieved that yet, we'll try to make that clear over the coming years. So But in Louisville, we understand how we are just a part of this state, and it's very important that we recognize our role and our responsibility to make this state proud. And community safety is part of that, and how we partner with you all is very important in that. And we can't do our job well without your support. And ultimately, what our job comes down to is keeping people safe and protecting constitutional rights. And our role as leaders is to make sure that officers have the training, the resources, and the guidance to make sure that they take care of people. Ultimately, Chief's he's never going to put out another fire, and odds are I'm not going to lock anybody up. There's people that do that, and our job is to make sure that they can do that effectively and do it well and take care of others. So as part of that, we have to understand, obviously Louisville's been through a lot in the past few years, and people have said we're in a reform process. I would challenge that. I would say the profession of policing has always been in a reform process. We've never gotten it right. And if we ever think that we've gotten it right, then we're starting to lose vision. And so as we continue the reform process that this profession is part of, one of the things that we've tried to focus on primarily up front is officer wellness, employee wellness. Chief spoke about it and the efforts that they're putting forth in Lexington. But I want you to understand how important wellness is. A healthy officer is going to do a much better job of taking care of the community than one that is under stress and one that physically feels bad. And as part of our initiatives, we created the Summit Wellness Center with the support of the mayor, as well as community partnerships, which were invaluable in creating the Summit Wellness Center. And I would love to invite all of you to come visit it. I think what we've done there is unique in the country, where we've combined all of our 5 pillars of wellness under one roof. We're talking about spiritual, financial, physical, social, and emotional wellness all in one place. As part of that, we've partnered with a group called Pro Team Tactical. It's a physical therapy company. And they've, year to date, already served over 400 officers, corrections officers, EMS workers, and firefighters to deal with physical ailments. As you know, when you feel bad, you are not nice to people. Ultimately, if we talk too long and we get close to lunch and we all get hangry, we know we're going to start talking a little ugly to each other, right? It's no different for police officers and public servants. We have to make sure that they feel good and they're taken care of so that they can properly serve the community. The other part of that that we focused on largely, that we've just gotten a contract in place with a group called Shelton Forensic Psychologists, is our mental health services. Traditionally, we had one counselor on staff that served the entire police department. That was a contract counselor. Now we've partnered with Shelton, and just in the month of May, they've already served over 60 officers and their families. That's a big deal. They're open 5 days a week and 2 evenings, and they've already had to expand their services to a third evening to help officers that are working during the evening. So we would love for any of you all to come and check out what we're doing in that space. It really is amazing, and I'm very proud of the men and women that have put that together. One of the other aspects of it is the financial aspect. Fortunately, we've been able to finalize a new contract in the past several months in collaboration between the FOP and the mayor. And what you'll see is that officers have gone from, in 2021, a new officer made $45,000 walking through the door. We know what the financial burdens, not just of this job, but what every Kentuckian is going through right now. And so to be able to say that in 2026, a new officer will walk through the door and they will make $66,000 in their first year is extremely important. Financial stability has got to be a focus in public safety. If we expect to put out a quality product, we have to pay people at a quality rate. Ultimately, in this profession, just like any other, you're going to get what you pay for. And we have to make sure that officers are compensated in ways that can be competitive, because as the chief from Lexington said, we're not just competing with other agencies, we're competing with the private sector. And this job faces more scrutiny and more danger than just about any other in the country. And so we have to make sure that we are recruiting the best and the brightest and we can retain them. Part of what happened in the last year or so is you all voted on a 3% increase to the CLEP fund. Those types of things and that level of support is extremely important. and we appreciate that. So thank you for that. One of the other things that we've tried to focus on also is that our facilities are in rough shape. We recently torn down our headquarters and are in the process working with the mayor's office on revitalizing a building at 6th and Chestnut that used to be the AT&T headquarters. It's going to be our new police headquarters. And when that's done next year sometime, I would love to host you there to see our new home. And it's not just about the building. What it is about showing people that our employees, that we care about them, that we're giving them the proper facilities and support that they need to do their job well, and they're respected in doing that job. Obviously, our number one job is to keep people safe, and if we're not doing that, we're failing. Crime, and particularly violent crime and gun crime in Louisville, is not at a level where it's even close to acceptable. If you look back at 2021, if you look back at 2018, we had 81 homicides. That was out of control. If you look at 2021, we had 194. We thought it was bad when we had 81. The epidemic, the pandemic of violent crime in the United States absolutely has to be something that, I know I'm before a political body, but we have to put politics aside and realize that people are dying out there. Just our traffic fatalities alone have gone up 25%. And so when it comes to public safety, part and parcel of public safety is being able to stop criminals, lock people up, and unfortunately sometimes it means writing tickets too, and we might all get caught up in that sometimes. But what we've realized is those things do keep people safe, and they have a real effect. And part of it is the ability to effectively prosecute and keep people in jail. If we have a revolving door in our criminal justice system, it does nothing to serve either the community or the people that are walking in and out of that door continuously, because the person that we just locked up is also our next victim of a gun crime. And so we are not doing them a service. Some people need adult timeout for an extended period of time until they can grow out of their inability to follow the rules of society. And unfortunately, that's where we need a better criminal justice system that can serve people while they are incarcerated. But fact of the matter is there are some people that need to stay in jail for extended periods of time, and we need to be able to work with you all to come up with creative ideas on how to deal with those problems. And particularly one of the places that we're dealing with that is with young people. We have repeated violent offenders that are juveniles. We have a gang problem in Louisville that is different from the gang problem that we all grew up understanding. It's no longer this red and blue problem. We have numerous gangs that are much smaller, and gang members now have multiple affiliations. It's not just that they're affiliated with one group. They might be affiliated with 2 or 3 different groups. And they go in and out of those groups very easily, which makes the traditional gang laws very difficult for us to use as a prosecutorial tool. So we are going to have to get creative in how we use those tools in order to make sure that people are held to account for the crimes that they commit, and that they are not going to be the next victim or offender because we were unable to change their behavior or keep them off the street until they were able to change their behavior themselves. The other aspect of that is the mental health crisis that we face across the state. We see this on our streets every day. This is not a problem that either us as an individual municipality or us as a state can deal with alone. I would argue that the federal government needs to step into this situation and help us with this mental health crisis, because we also know that the people that are in those situations, while it may not be their fault, we need to step in and help them. Plain and simple, because we don't want to see them become the next victim of a crime either. And plain and simple, and not to mince words, there are people living in conditions that none of us would tolerate an animal to live in. Yet we allow it to happen because we are afraid to address the problem. And we need to step up as a society, as a community, as a city, as a state, and as a federal government to address that problem holistically. What we are doing is morally and ethically wrong, and we are failing the people in our communities by not addressing the mental health crisis in a holistic way. It is not a criminal justice problem. It is a community problem as a whole, and we need to look at it that way. Part of the other thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we are supporting officers in their performance. A big aspect of that, and Chief focused on that, is our training. We have a big gap in our ability to train based on facilities, plain and simple. Louisville has traditionally been a regional hub for officers to be able to come and train, and we want to make sure that we're able to do that effectively. However, our classroom facilities, but particularly our lack of land for a driving track and an outdoor gun range, is prohibitive to our ability to effectively train and resource officers, not only within Louisville, but we would be able to train many officers in the region that currently have to go all the way to Richmond in order to receive training. I would really, really love to be able to work with you all to identify a solution close to the Louisville, Jefferson County area, that we can identify some land to build a training facility that can help support officers, firefighters, EMS in that entire region. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate your words and boldness to share with us what you're working toward. I really appreciate that. I guess we'll move on to Chief O'Neill.
All right, thank you.
He's a veteran up here. He knows something. So. We got about 10 minutes, Brian, and then we'll have time for questions.
Yes, sir. Well, yes, my name is Brian O'Neill. I'm the chief of the Louisville Fire Department. Thank you so much to Senator Mills, Representative Bridges, to the rest of the committee. I see a lot of familiar faces here. It's kind of like coming home, so great to see everybody again. So the fire department does so much more than just put out fires. And specifically, the Louisville Fire Department does so much more and protects so much more than just the urban core of Louisville. So you've got Jefferson County as a whole. Louisville Metro is 400 square miles. The area that I'm responsible for, my department is responsible for, is 63 miles of the old urban service district, as we call it. So we protect, and actually the mayor jumped ahead of me and already gave you a lot of the numbers that so many of our festivals bring to Louisville, and we are protecting those people, your family, your constituents, when they come to Louisville. We are protecting those people at a Cardinals game that's 40 to 50,000 people, 150,000 people at the Derby, nearly a 500,000 or more along the waterfront for Thunder over Louisville. Once again, that is something that we are protecting. So the city of Louisville, within those 63 square miles, the urban service district, I'm sorry, Mayor, we have 45 miles of interstate. We have a tremendous network of rail. We also have, for those that don't know, the state line does not stop in the middle of the river. We actually have the river all the way to the banks of the Indiana. So that is ours. 280 million tons of cargo comes through there, through Louisville every year. We protect that with marine firefighting, with dive rescue, with swift water rescue. All of the bridges that cross through the downtown area. If you look at I-64, the Sherman-Minton, I-65 has the Kennedy and the Lincoln. We also have the Second Street Bridge, which is the Clark Memorial. We also even have a walking bridge. But those four bridges, that is over 210,000 vehicle crossings every day. That's our responsibility to protect all of those. The hazardous duty, if you look at hazardous material response, that's what we do. We had one of these just the other night at one of our processing plants in the Butchertown neighborhood. Our department did an amazing job of getting in there very quickly, securing the area, making sure that everybody out was safe. They stopped the leak. They contained it, worked closely with MSD, with public health, with state EPA. Again, our protection goes so much beyond just the borders of that urban area. So we are the third oldest professional fire department in the country, 1858. And I would also argue that we are the greatest fire department in the universe. Senator Bledsoe, if we can just say, like, I know that my dog is the greatest dog in the world, and I'm sure most people think that about theirs, and we're all right. We're all right because we take pride in what we have, right? So we have about 500 members, just under that, and that is across a lot of different disciplines. We have our administrative staff. We have, of course, fire suppression, which is the biggest core of what we do, but that's not limited just to the city. We also help out the city of Shively. They are a one firehouse department. So anytime that they have any type of a structure fire, we automatically go in to make sure that they have enough personnel and equipment to safely battle that fire. Along all of our borders with the county, with Jefferson County, there are 7 Jefferson County fire departments, half mile in, half mile out. Whoever the authority has having jurisdiction will send their full complement. But if there is a closer unit that's on either side of that border, they will cross that border to help out. Now, what that means, we actually go out about 3 times as often as they come in. But when somebody's suffering, when somebody's in danger, when somebody's experiencing an emergency, they're not looking at what that fire truck says or what type of gear the person is wearing. They just want to know that a professional is coming to save them, to help them, and that's what we do. It's the right thing to do. We also handle fire prevention and fire safety. We have an arson bureau, and also our arson bureau handles the entirety of Jefferson County. So we don't just hold that to ourselves. We make sure that we take care of the rest of the county departments as well. And I've got to brag on our arson department. The average closure of arson cases nationwide is about 16%. Our department, 40%. Once again, one of the most impressive arson departments that you're ever going to see. So we average within that urban core, within those 63 square miles, about 150 incidents a day. Now, some of those incidents might be a single fire truck that goes and responds. Oftentimes, it's many more. So we actually have about 200 unit responses a day. That adds up to around 50,000 incidents a year with about 72,000 responses. So we're busy. We do a lot. We stay on top of a lot. And thankfully, we too, I don't want to belabor the point too much, but mental health is something that is absolutely vital to the well-being of our people. And it's something we take very serious because they are running ragged and out there serving and seeing some of the work. Nobody calls us when they're having a great day. Say, hey, fire department, come on over. No, they're calling us when they're possibly having one of the worst days of their life. And that's what our firefighters do. We mitigate emergency. As I've listed, we do so much more than just fighting fire. We do all of these other technical rescue, hazardous materials, structural collapse. So if you think if there's, and this is another way that we help throughout the state to all of your constituents, if there is a large scale emergency, whether it's flooding, whether it's tornadoes, we have the swift water techs, we have the structural collapse techs that will respond throughout the region to help whenever we're called upon to do so. So 60% of our calls are medical in nature. But about 60% of our time spent on incidents is fire and technical rescue because of the greater complexity of those types of runs. If you look just on the fire side of things for that urban service area, $18 million in fire loss in the year 2022. But I like to be a glass half full type of person. When you look at the incredible response time that we have within that urban service, if you call 911 within the urban service district in need of a firefighter, you will have a company on scene in less than 4 minutes. And because of that speedy response time, because of our staffing, thanks to the mayor, thanks to the way that we are structured, we're going to save a lot of property. And in fact, in that same 2022, when there were $18 million in fire loss, there was over $370 million in property saved. So for every $1 that went into investing into the Louisville Fire Department, there was over $3.50 in property saved. And that's just on the fire side of things. Never mind what's going on the interstates, on the railroads, in the other areas that I mentioned. So we are a Class 1 ISO rating. What that means is that the insurance services looks at what we do, and they look at that fast response time and the proper staffing and the proper allocation of our fire stations, and they say this is the best you can be, and we've got that covered. We are also internationally accredited. We are one of only 120 departments that have both the Class 1 ISO as well as that international accreditation. And we take a lot of pride in that. That international accreditation, basically a team comes in. We first did it 10 years ago. They come back every 5 years and they inspect and make sure that you don't just say you're one of the best, you actually prove that you're one of the best. And you can demonstrate through all of your policies and your actions that you're doing everything right. What's more important is they come back every 5 years, and if you're not improving and constantly improving, they will not reaccredit you. Well, we just went through that a few months ago, and we have been recommended for reaccreditation. But I will do something that most people probably don't do when they come in front of you. I will admit where we are failing and where we have some problems. I mentioned we're the 3rd oldest in the country. We're proud of that. But that also means that we have an aging infrastructure. 11 of our stations are over 50 years old. 7 of our stations are over 100 years old. Now, while that brings a tremendous history and a great amount of pride, our firefighters have to live there. If you think of a building such as this, weekends, nights, holidays, it throttles down. A firehouse can never do that because it's occupied 24/7. So the heat, the air, the water, the sewer, constantly going, and doing that for over 100 years. Working closely with the mayor's office, we've got a plan looking forward to address that. The accreditation people pointed out, your facilities and your fleet need some help. And that is something we were working on. We didn't come that way overnight. It happened long before myself or Mayor Greenberg were in these chairs. So it's not going to be fixed overnight, but we have plans to work on that. If you look at our frontline fire apparatus, we've got an engine that's over by the University of Louisville and Churchill Downs that was put on track 22 years ago, and it's still one of our frontline apparatus. Well, when it was put on track, it was making maybe 1,500 responses a year. Well, now it's making about 3,500 responses a year, and it's still running. So we need to replace it. And one of the things that we're up against, and my colleagues in Lexington can back me up on this, if I order a fire truck today, 3 years until we get it. And that is just something that is the industry nationwide. It's insane. So, but it's something we have to work on to get ahead of. So one of the things we also do, we have to be more progressive. Just like Chief Humphrey was mentioning, we have to be thinking outside just the traditional roles of what we do as a fire department. So we have a very robust fire prevention education. Our fire prevention inspectors are amazing. They're out there working hard, not only education programs, everything from the youngest in preschool to our oldest in our assisted living facilities. We're working on them, not just on fire safety. We're working on CPR education. We're working on fall prevention. We want to look at not just firefighting, but public health and community risk reduction. Many of you I know that work with our aging population know that falls are one of the huge contributor not only to health but potential morbidity. So we work on fall protection education in addition to that CPR, as well as something else that we're rolling out, the Stop the Bleed program, so that we can teach. We are constantly trying to put ourselves out of business. We want to make it so that there are no fires and that they don't need us that often. Sadly, fires are going up. In the last 10 years, there's been a 20% increase in residential fire deaths. Now, in our department, in our area, we've kept ahead of that curve. We're doing better than that, but it's something that we have to really realize and think as we're moving forward. But very thankful for all the assistance that we've gotten from the state legislature. Very fortunate to be in the city of Louisville with Mayor Greenberg and an administration working close. I will thank Chief Humphrey for going ahead of me. He's going to go ahead when we get out that door, and he's going to say, as always, police have to go in first to make things safe for the fire. So I'm going to beat him to that joke. But no, we work very closely with our brothers and sisters in blue. Just very fortunate to be in such a great place. So thank you so much for your time.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. We have a couple questions. Representative Bray is first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor Greenberg, I was one of the 200,000 people that were at the PGA Championship at Valhalla. That was the third event that I've been to there. Logistically, I thought everything, we were there on Thursday. I thought everything was fine. Obviously, Friday morning, there's tragedy which led to the arrest of the number one golfer in the world. Have you all, post that event, have you all worked with the PGA on how to improve logistics, what we can do to make Valhalla easier place to get in and out of? Because it is one of the most, within sports, it's one of the most special venues around. I mean, if you look at the results of the PGA Championships that have been hosted there, the Ryder Cup that was there a few years ago, it would just be a shame if, for some reason, that wasn't able to continue. So have you all worked on how you can improve that and make sure that, that's something that can continue on into the future?
Thank you very much, Representative, for that question. Let me start by saying we have an incredibly strong relationship with the PGA and the PGA leadership. We worked incredibly closely with the folks from the PGA that were on site in Louisville before the tournament, that were living here for a year or more before the tournament, and then as well the week of the tournament as well, working with the CEO, Seth Waugh, and other executives from the PGA. And of course, given everything that happened on Friday, we worked incredibly closely with them as well. They left Louisville, as I believe, incredibly impressed with our city. and incredibly impressed with the new ownership of Valhalla, because as you might recall, the PGA sold the course to 4 local business folks who have invested millions and millions of dollars in that course to, as you said, make it one of the most amazing golf courses in the country, to make it an amazing experience for people who are playing there, but people who are also enjoying tournaments like the PGA Championship as well. And so I am very optimistic that there will be more PGA Championships at Valhalla, and that we will have other really impressive, world-class, important golf events that are happening at Valhalla as well. So stay tuned for a little bit, but the owners of Valhalla and myself and others are working hard on some really exciting things, and I think you're going to see some more. They are, the PGA, though, was incredibly pleased with the relationship of the city, with the new ownership, and with the results of the tournament, with record attendance and record speed to sell all the corporate venues that were out there. The ratings were up significantly year over year. I'm excited about the future of working with Valhalla.
Thank you.
Senator Chambers Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I will agree with Senator Mays Bledsoe and acknowledge my bias towards Louisville. Mayor Greenberg, Chief O'Neill, Acting Chief Humphrey, it's good to see you all. And Chief O'Neill, although I don't have a question for you, I just want to acknowledge how impressed I am with your leadership and with Louisville Fire. I know there was a fire in my district a few weeks ago, and you all had it out in 10 minutes, I believe, at the Krispy Kreme. And I was just so impressed with your response, so thank you.
One more.
Acting Chief Humphrey, welcome. I know I speak on behalf of not just the folks that represent Louisville, but every member of this committee when I say, if there's any way we can assist you as you lead the department, please reach out. We are here to partner with you. My question for you, you were talking about the mental health crisis. And I know that when I was in local government, one of the programs people were excited about that was just getting kicked off was the deflection program. And so I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about that program, how it's going, and if it is successful in sort of helping members in the community who are struggling with mental health issues, and if it's helping take some of that burden away from police officers so that they can focus more on the core responsibilities of policing. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Senator Chambers. The deflection program, for those of you who don't know, we actually began working on it. I think the first research we did and training was in 2019 on the deflection program. And what that is it diverts mental health crisis runs that don't involve a risk of violence away from the police to professionals that are trained to deal with those mental health crises. And that program has expanded already multiple times since its inception. It is now reaching out to every police division and works most hours of the day into the late evening. That program is going to continue to expand, and that is a place where we absolutely need more support. Finding quality mental health workers is difficult, as you know, and so finding people to fulfill those roles is going to continue to be difficult. However, we know that is a critical need. I would say the back end of that need is just as important. If a crisis worker or the police or whoever is able to get a person into the hospital or into acute treatment, for them to turn around and walk out of the door 24 hours later or 72 hours later when they are not fully healthy, simply because there aren't beds to take them and there aren't physicians to treat them, is not solving the problem. And that is really the big crux of our problem. We can put as many deflection workers out there as possible, and I will welcome all that you can find. But if we're not taking care of the people on the backside, then we're ultimately going to re-encounter that person over and over again. And so we have to focus on both ends of that.
Yeah.
And side note, I'll say that we caught the arsonist that set the Krispy Kreme on fire. It wasn't them. So you're welcome.
And if I could just add one other thing on the deflection program, I was proud we expanded it from what was a pilot program a year and a half ago when I became mayor. It's now serving the entire city of Louisville. We have put funding in our budgets to fund it 24/7. And as Acting Chief Humphrey said, our biggest issue is just like we have a shortage of police officers, we need more bus drivers. There are so many professions that are struggling with fully staffing their areas. Mental health professionals are one of that as well. And so we need to continue to support our educational institutions to train more mental health professionals. We need them in our deflection program. We need them in our entire community in so many ways. Thank you.
Okay, we're bumping up to time, but we've got 4 more questions, and everybody said they're going to be short questions.
We'll give short answers.
No more questions. Next is Representative Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, Chief, thank y'all very much for coming. I know y'all put forth a very significant effort in terms of making sure we're safe day in and day out. And it's always a challenge that we're experiencing, at least more recently. I do appreciate your comment a few minutes ago about judicial. I think y'all do your job not only on the fire side but also on the police side, and we try to provide those policies. But I think the missing part is the judicial side, and there are folks that you all go out there and do your job, and they're right back on the streets. So that needs to be corrected or looked at, and I would like to work with you all in order to how we can address that. I want to ask you, we passed House Bill 5, Safe Kentucky Act. What are y'all doing in order to help implement that and try to get that ball rolling?
So as part of every new legislation that you put out, we will have our legal team review those. And then we try to work with whatever entities that we have to make sure that we can maximize the effectiveness of it. So when you're talking about something like issues with judges, so I don't control the judges. I don't wish to control the judges. And I don't really know if you all want to either. But what I do know is that there are times when the judges say, well, you're missing something. And so our cooperation with the judges on things like that is what are we doing that can help you understand the threat that this person might be to the community a little bit better? So how can we do our job better to make sure that you have the information and the tools to keep somebody in jail that needs to stay in jail? So we always take an approach of what can we do better and how can we use the tools like what you have in House Bill 5 to make sure that we're actually doing our job more effectively.
I just want to add one other issue. This is not a House Bill 5 issue, but one other partnership as we tried to expand our partnerships from the whole city in every area that we're working on. Working together with Attorney General Russell Coleman, the city has provided Attorney General Russell Coleman's office with some dedicated space in a city building, and he'll be announcing soon a new prosecution initiative in partnership with the Commonwealth Attorney, Jarena Weathers, that we think is going to help prosecute violent crime offenders, particularly those individuals that are committing gun crimes in our city. And so we're excited to help partner with the Attorney General on that.
Very good. Representative Chester Burton.
Thank you. This is to Chief O'Neill. As the former mayor of Shively, I appreciate you working with Chief Mucker and his department. And I understand that you mentioned about that relationship. Do you have something like that with the other small cities like City of J-Town, City of St. Matthews?
Yes, so we have that automatic aid with the city of Shively, and of course we train together very closely. And yes, Chief Mucker is just an outstanding human being all around, great person to work with, as are all the Shively firefighters. And we try as much as we can to train with all of the other departments throughout the county, so that when we do those cross-boundary responses, it's not the first time we've seen each other. So we set up training programs to make sure that we understand. We all do things a little bit different. No one's better than the other. We just need to understand and make sure we're speaking the same language. So when we show up on an emergency, it's automatically a seamless working together to serve the public as best we can. So absolutely, yes, we work closely with all the county departments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We had one very close collaboration last year with Fairdale. There was an incident not involving a fire, but hazardous materials in a hoarder's home. And we were working with the United States Department of the EPA, and so Chief O'Neill worked very closely with the Fairdale Fire Department that had jurisdiction over that area.
Senator Mays Bledsoe.
Thank you, Chair, and I'll be very brief. Thank you all for coming. I'm very familiar with Lexington, but learning a lot more about Louisville. 2 specific questions. One, Mayor, what is your current percent of your budget dedicated to public safety? And Chief, what is your authorized strength in terms of Louisville, and where are you in vacancy?
The percentage of the budget, if you include fire and police, EMS, all emergency agencies, is about 40% of our budget, roughly 40%.
Yes, ma'am. Our authorized strength is 1328. We used to hover around 1265, and currently we're at 1045. Wow.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Well, I'll finish things up. last week I had the occasion to be around several state legislators from around the country. And of course, NCSL is coming to Louisville, and I wanted you to comment on that. But one of the questions that they asked was, is Louisville safe? Is it safe to walk downtown and do all the bourbon tours? And of course, I said yes. But wanted you just briefly to touch on that and talk about the effects of NCSL.
We are incredibly excited to welcome legislators from around the country this summer to our city and to have the NCSL conference in Louisville. I know that many of you all and others in the General Assembly have been working hard to make it a very special and exciting event, and we stand ready to help in any way, shape, or form that we can. We are confident, just like when you come downtown to Louisville every weekend, you will see a vibrant, energetic, thriving place where people are having fun, where people are going out to dinner, where they're going to bars, where they're enjoying bourbon distilleries, when they're in town for conferences, for conventions, whether they're enjoying our parks, festivals, whether it's music events, sporting events, you name it. Our city is thriving. It is headed in a new direction, in the right direction, and we're excited for your colleagues around the country to enjoy our unique and authentic hospitality that we have in Louisville. We're working very closely, all of our public safety agencies, whether it's getting ready for the Derby, the NCSL, Bourbon or Beyond, or any other event. We have significant experience in welcoming large events to our city, and we're excited to welcome you all to Louisville during the NCSL convention. And we hope, as I mentioned earlier, we can welcome you all many other times. Please reach out to me. Let me know. Would love to see you in Louisville. And I also would love to come visit you in your hometowns as well. Thank you.
Good. Well, mayors, thank you so much. I think we have learned quite a bit today, and glad to hear the good news that's going on in our two largest cities. So with that,